Happy holidays, everybody. Welcome back to the channel. I've got another XRP update. I also have an XLM clip in here mixed with some CBDC stuff. European Central Bank, Christine Lagarde is out talking about the European Central Bank CBDC, and I have a clip from my Jake Claver interview talking about a reevaluation, and CBDC is not going to be like a one-for-one, as in like you have a US dollar in your pocket, that equals $1 in CBDC. Maybe it's going to be tiered or different. So let's get into it. Let's talk about it. We're going to talk about institutions, that, and a ton more. All right, so Cypress and Monaco posted up this clip. Listen up. One of the largest exchange organizations confirms digital assets will come through, but he mentions 2026 strategy. We know that this is going to take some time. I know a lot of us want to be rich yesterday, and some assets we are making a lot of money, but the stuff like XRP, XLM, Algorand, some of the stuff hasn't really moved yet because we are still waiting for these institutions to come in. So let's go ahead and play this clip and we'll talk about it.
We need to expand the IMS margins as planned. Third, we need to take a leading role in setting up new digital asset ecosystems. We will build platforms to serve these new digital asset classes that are truly emerging. They will ultimately come through, but the exact timing remains unclear. This will ensure that we are laying the foundation for growth beyond our Horizon 26 strategy cycle. Two messages are key for me. We need to expand.
All right, so we know this is going to take some time, guys. We got to wait, be patient, have the bigger picture. The value is in the protocol, not the temporary token price. Remember, the token price is a distraction. You are investing in. If you're owning an asset like XRP, like XLM, HBAR, you're investing in the future of what these assets are going to transform, which is moving value at the speed of light. Okay, that is that is the whole idea behind something like XRP and XLM and some of these other tokens, is the protocol, right? So let's go ahead and play this. Settlement through XRP, what does that look like? If you're new and you haven't been around the space for a while and you're just now learning this stuff, this is a great video.
In each country. Third is the ability to settle payments via a digital asset. XRP's speed, scalability, and cost make it the ideal bridge asset for cross-border payments. This allows banks to grow their payments volume and reach without accumulating more direct liquidity relationships. With XRP's trading volume at higher daily average than most exotic currencies, it makes it an ideal bridge asset for payments into exotic corridors. With this
payments into exotic corridors, let's talk about that real quick. Right now, if you're trying to send money into a place maybe like the Philippines or Indonesia, or maybe where there's not a lot of liquidity, right? XRP is a great source to be able to move that value down using ODL without having to do free pre-funded accounts. This is where, let's say a bank or institution knows that they're going to have a lot of money going out in a certain country. They'll pre-fund their bank account 10 million, 50 million, whatever they think is going to come out during that week. And sometimes it's over, sometimes it's below that. And I have another clip later on to show you and play for you about that. But that's what this is trying to solve, right? Bringing the costs down for those exotic corridors, or just moving money in general, right? I've played a clip in the past where it was a gentleman from a VC fund. They moved, I think, like $50 million. It was like 30 cents, right? If you normally would do that through traditional banking channels, that would cost you an arm and a leg. We are still so early to all of this, right? And as we move closer and dates come and go, we are now in this ISO migration through 2025 of November. That is when all of these banks and institutions should be on this new ISO messaging standard, and you can use crypto in that standard if the banks and institutions want to do that. So let's keep playing.
Liquidity arrangement. Each bank either holds XRP directly or leverages an exchange to source XRP.
Like Uphold?
This serves as an on-demand, fungible liquidity pool that can be used for payments. RippleNet resolves today's liquidity pain points in these ways. It's more capital efficient. The diverse options for liquidity provisioning allow banks to shrink their nodes. It costs less. The atomic pass-fail processing automates reconciliations, saving 60% in operational costs. And finally, it reduces risk. The real-time settlement and fewer direct relationships decrease overall risk. At Ripple, we're not just solving for better technical connectivity between banks, we're also solving for the other side of the equation, global liquidity.
60%. 60% is a huge savings. All right, here's Christina Georgieva talking about central cross-border platforms should be designed from the start. It says, so should SWIFT go away and the new cross-border solutions be a part of the new ecosystem. I have a news for you. SWIFT is not going anywhere, right? It's a conglomerate of 11,500 banks, right? Banks are always going to be here. There probably will be fewer in the future as some of these smaller banks make bad investments or don't know what they're doing with their bond portfolios. And Silicon Valley Bank was a prime example of this. So I think there's going to be more smaller banks that go away and they'll get eaten up by these bigger giants like JP Morgan, Wells Fargo, and so on. So let's play this.
This is not the time to turn back. The public sector should keep preparing to deploy CBDCs and related payment platforms in the future. These platforms should be designed from the start to facilitate cross-border payments. CBDCs can replace cash, which is costly to distribute, especially in island economies. They can offer resilience in most advanced economies, and they can...
Check us out. Countries exploring CBDCs. 130 exploring, 64 advanced stages, 19 close to launch, and 11 fully launched, right? So you can see the narrative for central banks. More and more are moving into this advanced stage, more and more are moving into the development stage, and more are moving into the fully launched phase, right? You're going to get a wholesale CBDC before you get a retail CBDC. That's normally how it works. And retail is for me and you. Wholesale is going to be for the central banks and the banks.
And they can improve financial inclusion where few hold bank accounts. Artificial intelligence, for example, could amplify some of the benefits of CBDCs. It could improve financial inclusion by providing rapid, accurate credit scoring based on various data. And it could provide personalized support to people with low financial literacy, so they are in, not left out. To be sure, we need to protect personal privacy and data security, avoid embedded biases, so we don't perpetuate inequality, but aim to reduce it. I look forward to continuing this voyage with all of you. Let us sail together.
So this is always going to be the narrative, right? It's always going to be empowering more people to come into the financial system. At the end of the day, it's about control. Central banks being able to control how much money is going in, how much money is coming out. They be able to mint and burn the CBDC token, which will give them more control. And at the end of the day, it's all about control. So let me go ahead and play this as I go rescue Luna off the couch. I can hear her crying. I'll play this. I might disappear off camera for this 57 seconds, but excited to see this market scaling to the trillions on a daily basis.
For everybody who has expertise here is that we're truly seeing large organizations do things at a scale which we haven't seen before using this technology, and those who have skills to help empower regular financial market infrastructure and regular players like globally systematically important banks like ourselves to operate in this space. We need your skills and we need your help, and I think we're going to see a massive adoption, in the next number of years where this really grows in the regulated space too, which is really exciting. But I think the key thing about all of this is that every element of doing this in a regulated environment takes some time and takes some effort and takes some coordination and takes a lot of work in terms of standards and standard setting as well. For me, I'm really excited to see how this tech is going to really massively scale over the next few years into many trillions of volume and scale on a daily basis.
You're hearing this narrative from huge names in the financial space, right? Trillions and trillions flowing into this space. Real world assets being tokenized, brought onto the ledger. And we're going to talk about real world assets being tokenized here in just a second. All right, so check this out. So the real world assets on Stellar are bigger than every other platform combined right now with one partnership with Franklin Templeton. So this is Danelle Dixon talking with, what is this, Ryan something. So I want to say it's Ryan's, forget it. Let's just go ahead and play this clip. Doesn't matter what his last name is.
Real world assets traded on Stellar, I believe, are more than every other platform combined right now because of the partnership that you have with Franklin Templeton. So
yeah, let's do that. It's pretty remarkable. And the funny thing about the Franklin Templeton partnership is that it actually started without our knowledge, because Franklin went to the SEC before even talking to us, and they actually started their approval process back in like 2019, early 2020, and we found out about it because we saw an SEC filing. And then after that, of course, we started working with Franklin Templeton. But I just checked right before we came on, and they're just under 300 million in terms of the volume that they have with Benji, which is their asset. money market fund on Stellar.
300 million, a drop in the bucket, right? This is just getting started right now, right in front of our eyes. All right, this is pretty cool. Brad Garlinghouse, religious wars in crypto discussion with Michael Arrington was the person I was talking about before. I couldn't remember his name, but he was the one who moved that like $30 or $50 million for 30 cents. He's been very vocal in the XRP community. He likes the technology. He uses the technology. He sees a future in the technology. And check this out.
One of the things I think we both have witnessed is crypto has a certain element of kind of religious wars and people with extremely strong points of view. When you see that, how do you think about delineating between the religious wars and utility versus just ideology?
Well, first of all, it was surprising for me. So when we announced our fund, which is Arrington XRP Capital, and so we obviously have some ties to the cryptocurrency XRP, I just thought people would welcome me to the industry with open arms as a new player, expanding the universe of crypto. And I realized, like, immediately I ran into like a brick wall of people who hated XRP with a passion that I have never seen before. And you're right, it's a religious viewpoint. It is worse than even the open source versus closed source battles that we've had decades ago now. And so I was very surprised and shocked, actually, like literally shocked. Like the people who hated me, who I never met just because I had chosen apparently one side of the crypto war. It is understandable now because we're dealing, I realize with hindsight that we're dealing with.
And people do crazy stuff about money. All right, so here is a 15-second clip. This is Rosie Rios, former U.S. Treasurer. If you open your wallet and you have hundreds or some 50s or something like that in there, the U.S. currency, chances are her name is on it. They printed a lot of money under the last administration where she was working for the U.S. Treasury, and her name is on a lot, trillions of dollars.
This is the next-gen $100 note is the last denomination of that particular family of notes. We're working on the future generation of currency. So that is my other job, is I'm the chair of the Advanced Counterfeit Deterrence Steering.
All right, that is the last of its currency, or the last form of that. Sounds like maybe they're not going to be making new designs of hundreds. The one they have now is going to be it. And then the next thing might be a CBDC, a tokenized $100 bill through CBDC. This is really cool. Cryptonairz, she shares the best content. If you are not following Cryptonairz channel, I don't know what you're doing, because I have learned so much from her. She's one of the best pillars, I think, in the crypto space, especially in the XRP space. She knows more than a lot of us combined. So big shout out to her. I watch her channel a lot, and I think she adds so much value. But she posted this: not just a sales pitch on paper, the Japan SBI Group issued the security token and announced to use of the Osaka Trading Exchange for the Ichi Residence token backed by real world assets, 2 to 6 locations shown below. It says 6 condominiums in Tokyo, tokenizing real world assets. It's happening. First 2 tokens immediately sold out. So they're tokenizing these buildings, right? And this is the future. This is where we're heading, right? Before, where you had basically an illiquid asset, which is a building, and now you can tokenize portions of that and use that to sell, just like they're doing right here. So it's really cool to see this. And these are the first steps. This is, you dip your toe in the water, right? If you've ever come up on a pool that you're not familiar with, or a lake, you dip your toe in before you jump in, unless you're insane and you just go right in. And some of you might be that person, but I always dip my toe in before I jump in, and that's what this is, right? All right, so let's round this out. Christine Lagarde, Europe 2020, Town Hall, MIT, Christine Lagarde, evolution is on its way. So she's going to be talking about CBDCs.
There is an evolution that is underway. If you think about how you pay many things, it doesn't involve coins or banknotes. You will use your phone, you will use electronically supported devices, and you will use a payment infrastructure that helps you move your money around when you want to buy something. So we have to prepare for that future, and we have to be sovereign in that respect as well, which is why we should continue to develop and eventually launch, if it is the decision of the governing council.
Look at all these young people are very interested in what's going to be happening with central bank digital currency. And it's good to see all these young people out here, because they're going to decide the future. And when I say young people, I'm going to be 40 next year. So these people look young to me.
The digital euro, which will be a digital version of cash, that we can be the master of our destiny, both in terms of the media on which our currency travels, but also the infrastructure payment, so that we are not at the mercy of anyone who suddenly says, oh, you're not going to use my infrastructure anymore. I'm not sending you any gas, remember? Does that mean that banknotes go away? No.
Eventually they will.
No, because
they'll tell you no now.
There are people,
wait 20 years.
Maybe some of you in the room, who are quite happy to have banknote in their pocket, and there is no reason why it should go away. But I don't want to lead an institution where eventually in a few years' time, people will turn around and say, what have you been doing? We are now under attack by other currencies that are invading our space, and we are at the mercy of somebody else, including possibly tech companies, that will actually manage all that. Thank you very much. I don't want to do that. Neither does Joachim Nagel nor any of the members of the Governing Council. We just have to stand ready and to make sure that we are resilient, as we have said.
All right. Let me play this for you. I asked Jay Claver about gold being revalued, right? And what he thinks about that. And he got into an interesting comment here about CBDCs. And I want to play this for you because I don't know if you've all watched this. You probably haven't because you don't have all the time to spend online. But this was a really amazing interview. And let me just play a clip from this because it relates.
You're going to have collateral. People don't trust the system anymore. And it obviously isn't working. The inflation, I'm seeing video after video of people having to come apart because their grocery bills doubled and so's their rent, and now they can't afford anything. They've got 3 jobs. Like, they're going to collapse the middle class here in the U.S. if this goes much further.
It does feel like it, man.
Anyway, with all of that, it's extremely volatile. And if you're not willing to risk things, then you're probably not going to get the reward either. But I didn't answer your question. I think that there'll be some type of revaluation. The astronomical numbers that people put out there at $50,000 an ounce on gold. And let's talk to this. Most revaluations happen in a 3-prong approach. They'll have 3 steps to it. So maybe we do get to $50,000 gold at some point as we phase out the old currency and it's $50,000 in the old currency. I don't know what.
This is an interesting.
If we issued a new CBDC and maybe you exchange $10 for one CBDC. I know there's a lot of people out there that hold Dong and Zim and Dinar and these other currencies. If they move to a digital one, and this is just my thought, I know I'm going to get a lot of flack for this, but I'm going to say it anyway, they're not going to give you a 1,000x return on a piece of paper that you're holding. I'm sorry. There might be a situation where you can exchange 1,000 of those for one of the new ones.
Yeah.
That's likely the scenario. That's how things have worked in the past. I hope I'm wrong. I hope everybody makes a ton of money that's holding those currencies. But that's my position on it. I think that there'll be some type of exchange for the old currency to the new one, and there'll be an exchange rate, and it'll be significant. And
I thought that was really interesting, right? And I think a lot of people are not thinking this way, but a CBDC could be like one CBDC is equal to $10 of actual cash in your pocket, right? And that's maybe how governments are going to try to get out of this massive wall of debt that they're in. But if they do something like this, there's going to be a lot of losers, and those people are going to be the ones that are holding their 401ks and their pensions and things like that. And I don't really know how you're going to make those people whole, but that's a big problem. And I think these are the things we need to be discussing and we need to be talking about, because we can't let the middle class be worse off than it already is right now. All right. The 1% are climbing to new heights, and a lot of people are just being left behind. And I think that's why a lot of regular people like you and me, we believe in crypto, and we believe in these assets, and they are the future. And we believe that we're going to be in a better situation 5 or 10 years from now by holding these digital assets. And that's really what this whole thing is about, right? The belief, the use cases, the value being brought on to these ecosystems and these ledgers. And that's really where a lot of this value is going to come from. All right, guys, that's it for me. I'll try to wrap it up. I know some of you make it through the whole video. If you did, please let me know in the comments. I appreciate you. I wish you all a happy Thanksgiving. If you're not in the US and you don't celebrate Thanksgiving, I wish you a happy holidays, and thank you for supporting my channel. It's been an amazing year of growth so far. If you want to join the crypto community, there is a free link down in the description for a 7-day free trial for Cryptonairz. It's been popping. That's all I can say about it. It's been popping. Come see what all the noise is about down the link for WAP. Thank you guys. I'll see you next time. Aloha.